Thanks again to Taco Bell for their support of BuffStampede Radio and our podcast here. If you have not tried Taco Bell's new Cantina chicken menu, you're going to be in for a treat. They've launched a new era of chicken, and it's not your parents' poultry. The Cantina chicken menu debuts a new flavorful chicken that is slow roasted and perfectly seasoned with Mexican spices, including garlic, onions, and a variety of chilies. Additional premium ingredients highlighted on the menu include shredded purple cabbage, white corn tortilla shells that are freshly fried, and you've got pico de gallo that's freshly prepared daily. Try this amazing shredded chicken in a crispy white corn tortilla with cheese inside and out, wrapped in a burrito with fresh purple cabbage and pico, or inside a Cantina chicken quesadilla for an unforgettable meal. However you like it, you'll never get chicken this way again. Get yours today at your nearest Taco Bell, and don't forget to add your $7 Buffs box, adding 4 Taco Bell classics and large drink with a CU player collectible cup. Taco Bell is a proud sponsor of CU Athletics and will be donating $1,000 to the Golden Buffalo Scholarship Foundation for every CU touchdown scored. Live Moss.
Tawfiq, defense really held you guys in there, but at the end it just felt like just couldn't get enough done to kind of come out on top of this one. What did you think? How did it feel for you going through
We
this?
just gotta make plays. We gotta make plays. Ball's in the air, we gotta go make plays. It's that simple.
What happened on that play action pass on the fourth down, the touchdown, the second to last touchdown? They took a timeout to back out.
I'm not sure. Probably about the coverage.
Brian, you got it.
Can you talk about the overall mood? I mean, it's 2 weeks in a row you guys have built a lead and not be able to hold it. I mean, just kind of what's the general feeling in there right now?
Trying to finish. Like you said, it's the same stuff every week. You know, we gotta take upon ourselves to do better in practice. Like you said, it's the same old stuff. We just gotta lock in on the little stuff.
Just kind of to follow to that, like, did you feel that game getting away? Even though it was close the whole time, did you feel it getting away, or were you guys confident?
The whole game, we're in it. We're competing. We're going back and forth. Yeah, they might score, but we get back and we get a touchdown. We never felt like they were doing too much that we couldn't handle. It's just us. We got to take it upon ourselves to make plays when it matters.
So I think you talked about leadership. How important is it as a leader on this team to kind of keep the locker room together here going
That's
forward?
probably the most important thing going forward. You know, the 2 and 4. You know, at this time, players start to think other things. You know, and as leaders, we got to bring them together. We got to keep them on the same mission because at the end of the day, it's our last name, and it's that Colorado is on front of that. That's on the jerseys. We got to take it upon ourselves to do more, and it starts in practice. And I know we keep saying it starts in practice and everything starts in practice, but it's real. And y'all see it out there on the field. You just got to do better.
Tawfiq, obviously Coach Prime has been happy with the special teams so far this year, but the punt just kind of, is that just a kind of a bad bounce for you guys? Just how do you maybe pick some guys up that aren't on the field all the time when a play like that happens?
Yeah, Damon, we love Damon. He's probably the most consistent. Butler probably the most consistent on the team. He just had a bad punt. He just had a bad punt. We love Damon.
No, I mean on the month one where I think it hit Cam.
Yeah, we just can't have stuff like that to happen. You know, it's a crucial time in the game. You know, the ball hits the guy. You know, that just can't happen.
What was the game plan going in? What did you try to take away? And it felt like it was pretty effective, at least early.
Yeah, just getting a little bit more zone. You know, we run a lot of man for teams like to run, you know, pick routes, you know, stuff out in the perimeter. So, you know, we just want to play a little soft zone, eyes on the QB.
How did that work? Did you feel like you guys were comfortable with the zone today?
Yeah, it was good. We primarily zoned the whole first half, 14-14 or whatever the score was.
Tawfiq, you mentioned obviously being tied at halftime. What was the message? Because you guys were leading for so much of the first half. They get obviously the one touchdown, and then after the interception, you guys have to quickly come back on the field defensively. Just kind of what was the talking point in the locker room?
Finish. We were the same thing last week. About the same amount of time. I think we were probably leading like last week at halftime over tied or something like that. You know, we just can't finish. I don't know. It's going to finish. You got to finish.
All right, guys. This is going to be a fun one. How are both of you doing?
I'm fine.
I'm just ready to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some good stuff there from Tawfiq Byard. They need some more guys in that locker room like him.
For sure.
Yep. Well, we need more guys like that on the field, and I think that's one of the things we're missing. Somebody made a point on the board that and I don't know, maybe you can do this every year, but there's 5 or 6 moments in these 3 losses that could make the difference between us being 5-1 and 2-4. I mean, 5, 6 plays, I bet we could single out, but that's the way the game goes. I mean that people want to say that the punt bouncing off the player's back, that's just bad luck. No, that's a mistake. Not by the kid that got hit by the ball, but by the returner, But that's the kind you can't beat a team like TCU with 4 turnovers.
Sean, we covered the Houston game together as well. And by the way, I haven't seen you in a long time. It's been 2.5 hours since
right.
we saw each other in the airport. And Rick George was on our flight. He wasn't having a great morning. It didn't seem like I haven't seen a lot of smiles on people's faces in the last 24 hours. Is this the most frustrating loss of the season just because of where it puts Colorado going forward and just knowing that or feeling like they were the better team, as Coach Prime put it, on the field last night? But as Tawfiq Byard said about the play you referenced there, William, is you just can't let that happen.
Yeah, I don't feel any more frustrated in this game than I really have in pretty much each of the games. I guess the only frustration is that it may be different plays, but it's the same things that we continue to see week after week after week, regardless of who the personnel are, regardless of what what's happening. It's a team that's not ready. And I think I would have said maybe before listening to Tawfiq's press conference, I would say it's a team that's not ready to play. But, I think it's more a team that's not ready to make adjustments and to finish. And it's the same story for, 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's why I guess it seemed like Colorado fans should be more frustrated by this one than any, because it is week 6.
Yeah.
And certain things like, remember just like the defensive communication issues. It's just like week 6. What are we doing here?
Yeah, and there was a lot of stuff. I don't know how much of it was on the broadcast, because when I rewatched, I was just fast forwarding and right into the plays. But yeah, there were so many times when guys didn't know where to line up offensively, guys didn't know where to line up defensively. You had people not understanding the calls. You've got somebody trying to give instruction to another player as the ball's being snapped. I mean, it was the type of a cluster that you don't expect to see by the time you hit game 2, let alone game 6.
And I guess the added frustration is that it's two weeks in a row now with a 14-point lead, which says we can get off to a good start. But what it suggests to me is that the other team figures things out and we don't. Or else we get away from what was working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian Howell put out a tweet that he went back through the record books and he hasn't found a time in which Colorado football gave up a 14-0 lead in back-to-back weeks. You would have thought maybe that happened at some point, but that's kind of crazy. The last time, what did he say? That was when was the last time they did that? That was a few years back, but it was just one game, and that's why these podcasts are tough, because it's coming back to back, and it's 3 weeks of late night games. And I guess I will say the bud in my life right now is that we've got an afternoon game coming up at Folsom Field.
Well, I got, I took I know you guys are, that's a pleasant point for you guys. You don't got to travel all night, but I just took a quote that Coach Prime had after the game, and he says the running game was going and the linemen came out and attacked. They really did. They were very physical today. They did their thing, and I'm proud of them. They won it. They're highly upset. I'm proud of them that they care that much. Why'd you stop? And again, I'm getting sick and damn tired of saying this. Why'd you stop running the damn ball? Why? Again, week in a row, or I think it's every week so far this year, we got a back averaging over 6 yards carry. We don't run the damn ball. 2 yards to go, 7 seconds with a timeout in our pocket on the 2 yard line, and we throw the damn ball. You run the damn ball, you call the timeout, and then you decide if you try again or kick the field goal. I mean, I just don't understand it.
Agree. You've got the timeout in your pocket. You know, I think for once you're in a position to actually, you know, use those timeouts without having to, you know, to waste them or figure out, is it too early? So that seemed like a pretty simple, excuse me, a pretty simple opportunity that was wasted. Because yeah, and I think maybe I misunderstood what some people have been saying about why do you stop doing what was working and running the ball, and you know, they didn't stop running the ball in the second half, and they continued to run it, but I think it's those key moments, where when you need to lean on something, and that's kind of been your proven, you know, your proven solid performers have been in the run game. So when push comes to shove and you need to lean on it, let's get those 2 yards, or if we're at 4th and 6, you know, let's run it with an opportunity to either have another short, you know, 4th down run or figure out, you know, what the situation is after that. I think too often that it almost feels like they panic as a staff at times.
Well, I think that play worked on the goal line before, and so he used it again. Well, any decent staff is going to have to prepare for that play the second time around on the goal line. I mean, it's just, I don't know, man. You know, the other team makes adjustments and we don't.
Right.
When Ryan Staub,
go
ahead. When Ryan Staub had that really nice stretch late in the first half against Houston, but had real big struggles the rest of the game. I think I said at that time, tongue in cheek, he just needs to be a 2-minute specialist.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that tongue in cheek right now. Like, no. Seriously, like that is what, like, I know it's a small sample size, 2 games, but it just seems like that's kind of where he is comfort level wise in this offense. I can't put Caden Salter.
Did you
we'll get into this later about the quarterback discussion, because I thought about this a lot today. But with Caden Salter, if you're going to start him against Iowa State, don't put him in that situation again, because you can't afford a repeat of that.
Did you see Brian's tweet? He said six tries for Caden Salter inside the last 2 minutes of a half, 0 points. 2 tries for Ryan Staub, 14 points. You know, I mean, that just really, I don't know. Like, Ryan Staub's not the guy you want. I don't know. I mean, we got
a couple of those were pretty lucky throws to not get picked off
man,
in one of them. But yeah. No, I just like you got to put context on it. I feel like, but I still would rather see him out there. Like, no joke. Like, late in that first half, it was like, just let Caden get into the locker room, man. Like, and come out with a fresh start in the second half.
Well, and that's why you line up and run the damn ball. Just let him hand it off.
Yeah,
with 2 yards to go.
Yeah, I haven't really responded to anybody, but you know, from even my post game, but several people, you know, saying this had 0 to do with play calling. It's 100% on the quarterback. We don't have a quarterback, and it's, you know, it didn't matter what the plays were called. He was going to find a way to mess it up, and I still, you know, I've never been a rah Caden Salter guy. I've been let me watch film and tell you what I see and tell you when things are good and when things are bad and when he messes up and when he's taking the brunt because he's the quarterback. And the play calling when he's in the game in those crunch times is awful. And I don't understand why they don't have an offense that they let somebody go operate. But depending on who's behind center, they drastically change their offense to fit each person. And maybe that's things they see in practice and what they're comfortable and not comfortable with. But it's, you know, I feel like they're handcuffing whoever's back there by feeling that they can only utilize 25% of what they've got in the playbook. Or maybe that's all they've actually been able to install. I don't know.
But they don't seem to have any kind of plan for what they're doing. They, again, sorry, Prime, but there's no identity to what this offense does. You know, they find things that work well, and then they stop doing them. You know, the Draylon at Wildcat worked really well, and then they stopped doing it. You know,
I think part of
what they want to do.
I think part of the problem with that is that they don't ever flush out concepts and build upon them. And so there's one Wildcat play, and it's Draylon right, Draylon left, just straight zone plays. Right. And they've never done anything else with it to either build some sort of a secondary threat or have a play that counters off of it to do anything. So when they get in that situation, everybody watching on TV, everybody watching the stands, and everybody on the field knows exactly what's coming. Yeah.
It was the same as with LaVisca doing it. So.
Kaidon Salter is almost kind of like this streaky three-point shooter that sometimes struggles on defense. And it's like you can live with the faults as long as you're balling out in certain aspects, right? And, you know, there have been times this year, and I'm going to throw it back to you guys and say, if you were in charge, who you'd start next week. But this was by far his worst performance. And it's like really the first game that I put solely on Kaidon Salter. If you guys disagree, tell me. It just feels like this is the one based on what he was given, what he had to work with. It was the one that you point most on him. And I understand your point, Sean, about the play calling and everything. It just, there are certain things as a fifth-year senior quarterback you can't do. Well, and he did those.
Yeah, he doesn't. I don't know. With those three interceptions, all three of them were egregious. I mean, all three of them were just. I don't understand what the hell he sees out there, you know. And I think I think you're correct to the extent that if we had a quarterback not throw three interceptions, we win that game pretty easily, frankly. Mm-hmm. But again, why'd you have him throwing that play on the goal line in the first place? You know, why weren't we doing? You know, there hadn't been a team yet stopped the stretch zone against from us. Nobody. But we've run it 9 times. You know, and I just don't understand why you don't stick with the damn thing that's working, and you try to get this kid to be something that he's not. You know, what he does well is that RPO and running off the corner. He's not a drop back in the pocket passer because he can't see coverages.
Yeah, see, I completely 100% disagree with that, because I've watched and broken it down, and he makes the right reads, he makes the right stuff. But you still can't throw those interceptions. The first one I don't put on him at all. The first one was actually when I rewatched it, which you couldn't see live, but when I rewatched it, that's 100% on Draylon. That one. Wide open, running a dig across the middle, and instead of running his dig like he's supposed to, he starts fading up the field, which takes him right into lets the safety undercut it. So that was a good open read and a good throw. Draylon totally screwed it up. The second one is 100% on Kaidon. Bud Clark made a good play, but he missed his first window and didn't wait for his second window to get it to throw it to him. And the third one was a combination of the two, or of the three. Horrible play call, like you said. Same play we had done before. Nobody was open. Maybe you just throw the ball away, but trying to fit it in, and Draylon actually didn't box out his receiver like he should have, like a receiver should. But it just leads to a lot of other problems. Nobody's coaching the quarterbacks. Nobody's coaching. And I'll argue that nobody's coaching the receivers. We saw film about Coach Phillips getting on their asses this week, but it's evident when they come out and perform and run half-assed routes week after week, put in horrible effort blocking, don't know what their route concepts are supposed to try to achieve. And so they don't run them into the right spaces, whether it's to occupy defenders or to avoid defenders. They're not being technically coached on anything.
Well, like Sincere Brown on that last catch didn't seem to understand that you got to have a cushion with the sideline to let the quarterback get the ball in there to you. I mean, that's on you to put yourself in a position where he can put that ball on your outside shoulder. But I see that across the board on this team. The only I think the defense, honestly, to me, the only two positions on this team that seem to be fairly technically sound is the defensive and offensive lines this year. Because the linebackers are taking the wrong steps, making the wrong reads. That and I would include the edges pretty much in the defensive line. But it's kind of mind-boggling to me that the offensive and defensive lines could be as effective as they were in this game, and we still get beat by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I was going to try to pull the Bobby Valentine. What was it, Bobby Valentine? That was the New York Mets coach that got ejected and went into hiding into disguise and went back into the dugout back in the day. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah.
You remember that with the mustache?
Yeah.
I was gonna go out on a limb and say that I would still, if it was my call, start Caden Salter against Iowa State at home this week, and then I figured I have to go into witness protection. You guys might have to join me. It sounds like.
Well, and I'm at the point too where I think there are so many fans and several posters on the board that probably need to see a doctor this afternoon because their erection at that poor performance has lasted well over 4 hours. So I think it's one of those things where start Juju. I don't know that you're going to damage him any more than he's getting nothing out of being in practices on this team without a quarterback coach and with whatever they're trying to do offensively. I don't think he's getting any development. I don't think there's any growth coming out of his red shirt season. So start him, play him, see what he can do, let him take his lumps.
That sounds like you're just trying to prove something, Sean.
No, and make everybody happy. I mean, I think it's a combination of all that. It's a combination of what's at this point at 2 and 4.
Right.
What's the downside to it? There could be some upside, but
you got a half a season left, man. I 100% agree. There is going to be a time for the future and for London Merritt, Alex McPherson getting more snaps out there. Just, and actually they probably deserve it regardless, right? But there is kind of a youth movement that I think needs to take place, but you can lose a locker room completely if you start doing that too early. That's kind of part of my thought process in terms of why I think Salter should get the start again on Saturday. And folks are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. And we'll see how it plays out.
Well, everybody's got their opinion on it. And, I don't think that I personally have enough information on what Juju's done in practice and what he has shown to know whether he's ready or not. I think London Merritt and McPherson have both shown that they need a lot of playing time. I might play them more than Keaton Wade at this point, but I think the biggest problem, with this kind of at this point now, I think you got a team that's going to be, no matter how much they're up by, they're not going to trust it. They're not going to believe it. And football's a game of faith, right? And if you believe you can win, you'll win. And if you don't believe you can win, you'll make it happen. You will find a way to make that happen. And I think that's a problem. I think part of the problem with Caden Salter is you start to wonder if players start to wonder whether he can win the games or get the plays done, And so there was a play after he missed a throw, and I was looking at Xavier Hill's face. Okay. And I don't pretend that I can read people's emotions from their faces, but man, that kid sure looked like he had enough, And so I don't know where it happens that you lose a locker room in that situation, but I think if you're going to play Juju, you got to have an offense for him, and you got to have some play calling that makes some sense and lets him do what he does.
He would have a better offensive line than Shedeur Sanders ever had in Boulder.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's something going for him.
Maybe better than he had in high school. It's hard to say, but that offensive line is playing great football, and it's a damn shame that we can't put it to use. And maybe if you got Juju in there, you trust the running game a little more. And here's another thing that I just can't freaking understand. Other teams just gash us with the tight end every week. And we can't figure out how to make a tight end part of our game plan to save our backsides, except that Yaya Atia is doing some good things in the blocking game, but I just don't understand how we can't. We had one first down catch, I think, by what's his face, the tight end, and beyond that, we don't seem to have them in the
No.
game. I think at this point, I'm with Sean that it seems quite clear to me that Caden Salter is missing something in terms of he seems to fold up when the pressure is on, and there's not much to lose at this point with playing Juju. I don't know what he'll give us, but I've seen what Salter gives us.
Yeah. A couple of things I'd like to comment on. First off is there's a lot of people questioning the decision to bring in Caden Salter. No one was questioning that
Right.
6 months ago. That's all hindsight's 2020. This is somebody that led Liberty to a 10-win season, and I understand that's Conference USA, but you've seen other guys, Cam Ward included, that go up a level and they're able to elevate their game. This has been completely surprising to me. And then just real quick, William, I'll throw it back to you. In terms of Juju, the one downside, and I'm going to go against my own point that I just made about some folks are saying, well, just redshirt him. I don't think in 2025 that's the thought process that goes in, unless Julian Lewis and his father come to Coach Prime and say, we'd like to do that and stay at Colorado. Otherwise, you got to get him out there at some point if things keep going south.
So I guess I have two thoughts. First is about Caden Salter, and one, and that is, isn't this also again an indictment of Shermer? You got this guy who came in, you got oodles of film to watch on what he does well. Why the hell didn't you do that all spring and summer and have it in the game plan ready to go in game one? And this goes back to Sean's repeated statement, and he's right every single week, is how the hell is this team not ready to go? Frank, okay, maybe not in game one. I think you should be ready to go in game one, but how are they this far into the season and still not really prepared? But the other thing about Juju, I think, is that one thing we're missing at the quarterback position, and we saw the last 2 years how much this means, and we need him. We need that guy at quarterback. Caden Salter ain't it, man. I don't know how many more auditions he needs to prove to people he ain't the guy. And Ryan Saab ain't the guy either. Maybe Juju is, maybe he ain't. I don't know. But
had they not jerked around with Caden Salter and his reps early in the season, and they were 6 weeks in, and we were still getting these results, I would 100% agree with you. I think that part of me that is still like, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I went back and forth all morning on the flight. Sean was up there on the Southwest flight coming back from Dallas, and it just trying to kind of sort through this mentally. And I don't think there's a wrong decision between the two, but I feel like Caden Salter would have better momentum right now had he been in that starting lineup throughout the process.
What he needs, I think, is to have that moment when he gets the job done. I guess what's really truly just occurred to me, that what's really frustrating about this team is we see moments and we see stretches when they're really damn good, really damn good. And there were, in the last two games, BYU and TCU, the initial teams, I guess we'll call them, but there were times we flat out dominated both those teams on both sides of the ball, and we end up losing by mistakes that we made. And that's the frustrating thing, I think, to me. I think what's most frustrating is to see the potential of this team and to see us keep screwing it up.
Should be 3-3 at the worst right now. I think it is kind of the point you're making there, right, William?
Yeah, I think we
4-2, 3-3.
yeah, we gave away BYU and TCU. I think we were going to win that. The Houston thing. I don't know if that came down to the quarterback debacle or whatever, but that's the only one that wasn't really competitive.
Sean, we'll let you go in a minute here. Any final thoughts? Again, thank goodness we got a afternoon game at Folsom Field. Iowa State coming into town. A little surprised, a 4.5-point favorite coming out to Colorado. I know the Cyclones lost to Cincinnati on the road this past weekend, fell from 14th in the AP poll to 22nd. Are you going to show up to Folsom Field with any optimism in your bones on Saturday?
I don't know. I think I'm just foolish enough to think that at some point some of this stuff clicks and things start happening differently. And I'm really more talking about from the the coach's perspective, game planning, play calling. But we don't, we consistently don't see them attack what defensive weaknesses are. Occasionally we'll start to see them incorporate things that have worked against them back into their own schemes, but not really, attacking any personnel or, not looking for those individual matchups and not taking advantage of what teams do poorly. And I keep thinking, one of these weeks it's got to click, and there's got to be, even by accident, a happy coincidence of the things that we want to do or the things that somebody else is bad at. So I'm sure I'll have optimism. I wish that, I hope that no matter what they do at the quarterback spot, I just want them to, this is where maybe I disagree with some people and maybe even you, Matt, or Will, is that I want to see them open things up offensively and push the ball down the field. When they do that, they have success, whether it's been Staub doing it in the 2-minute drill or whether it's been Salter doing it and hitting the deep posts, or finally they ran some deeper concepts in the second half. And while neither of them were completed, and both receivers probably should have caught the ball, which I think speaks a little bit to what we've got going on at receiver. They turned into, at least one of them drew the pass interference call that it should have. The other one probably should have had one called. Both balls went right through the receiver's arms, but good things happen, right? And it stretches things out, and then all of a sudden you come back and your running game that maybe the defense has started to really focus in on and start overloading the box on, all of a sudden now has some room to run. So that's just one of those things. But we've been looking for that since week one, and you only see it very sporadically. So I don't know that I have a lot of faith, but I think I'll go into every week with some hope.
Yeah. I think somebody just posted on the board. They said, every week you watch a lot of other college football and you see creative play calling and you don't see it at CU ever. It's like, what do we got to do to get an offensive coordinator here? But it really struck me what Sean was saying about that we actually threw it downfield a couple of times this game, and even the touchdown to Omarion to some extent was running down the field with speed and now they can't walk a safety up into the box because they don't know if you're going to run behind them, and so that opens up things a little bit. But man, I still have the optimism, like Sean said. Maybe we get the day where the play calling comes together with Salter not making any mistakes and we blow somebody out. I mean, the potential's there.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this though. Let me throw it back in a different direction. Do you think the defense did pretty well? I mean, I know 35 points is a lot, but it seems to me 2 weeks in a row we got 21 points, and you can't ask a defense to do very much when an offense does that little. I think if we score 28, I don't think they get to 35.
Yeah, but also the defense needs to, and this is what Coach Prime said, is they're looking for killers. They're not creating turnovers right now.
Yeah, right.
And you got to come up with 1 or 2 a game to kind of, even if your offense gives up 4, if you force 2 takeaways, you have 2 takeaways, you're going to give yourself a much better chance to fight in that. And so It kind of goes back to this comment. We also, in props to Coach Prime, and we'll talk about his health stuff later, because the poor guy, man, like that's awful. That he's now got to go back in and worry about blood clots in his foot. But he talked about 95% of corners play not to get beat, 5% play to make plays.
Yeah.
There's like that 95% kind of like, I don't know if I would go 95% on the defense, but that percentage is pretty high of guys that are just out there trying to
hoping
not get embarrassed. And yeah, there's just, it's a different vibe from what we saw from that defense a year ago.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't show up in the stats, but it's pretty clear when you turn on the tape, as you guys like to do.
Yeah, there are definitely problems on the back end. I do think the defense played better, at least in the run game. I think, TCU doesn't have a stellar run game, but they like to stay balanced. They're pretty much a 50-50 team, and they have been rushing for 135 yards a game or whatever. So, enough to whether it's a backward approach and they're throwing the ball to then open up the run or whatever. But I thought that the defense did a really good job with the depleted front. We know that they're challenged at linebackers. They continue to mix and match those guys every game, whether it's based on performance or matchup. Without watching the tape, I don't really know how he graded out or anything, but it seemed like having Jeremiah Brown in there was an improvement against this offense. I thought Reggie Hughes was lost for a lot of the game, but the secondary just, I don't think there's anybody in the secondary, maybe aside from
Byard.
Byers and I think Hodge at times in certain matchups that are players that can actually just make individual plays.
Yeah.
I think the rest of them are like you said, Adam, they're out there trying to survive, trying not to look bad on tape. It's much, they're much happier giving up an 8 to 10 yard short pass and coming up and making the tackle than to have somebody run by them. So they're not gonna, a lot of that comes down to, I don't know. I think our secondary plays with really bad technique, but yeah, so it gave me some hope because, hopefully we'll get a few guys back up front and, Iowa State, as good as their quarterback is, they want to pound the ball. I mean, they're just a physical, team that's going to want to run the ball. So I'm hoping that this is a good sign moving into next week.
The guy that finally showed up this game that I've been looking for big things from all year is Amari McNeil. He was unblockable in this game, and he had a pass rush move that was just as beautiful a move I've seen from a defensive tackle in a long time, where he just kind of a push pull and a little, and McPherson ended up getting that sack. But it was Amari McNeil that made it happen, and he was making plays in the backfield left and right. So it was nice to see him kind of back to what I was expecting.
Sean, always appreciate you. Thanks for traveling out there, man. We got to find a way to cover a winning road trip.
Yeah.
I think West Virginia. Are you heading out there?
Maybe as I say, maybe West Virginia. I haven't booked my flight yet, but I'm intending to go. So we'll see what happens between now and then.
We got to get young Will out with the three old timers for a burger and a beer.
There you go.
Definitely. Yeah. And actually that segues me into our ad reads here, because I caught up with Hanson Rada, our guy, William, at the Hungry Toad. He's living over in Spain this year with his family.
Nice.
It's like, that's pretty cool, man. And he's like, I love it because you walk around and can't understand what people are saying. I'm like, oh, I'm envious of that some days.
Yeah,
but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what side of the political fence you're on. Some days it's just better not to understand what people are talking
100%.
about. So, Sean, like I said, always appreciate you. We'll see you again, hopefully next week.
All right, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Peace, brother.
William, the new Cantina chicken menu from Taco Bell, man. How about that? You see the bell back here. right there.
Yeah. The new tagline was it? It's not your parents' poultry.
It's not your parents' poultry.
I think
I'll
might
tell you
have
what,
to use
I
that.
got a Cantina chicken burrito this past
Yeah.
week, and I like to just kind of like, I took out the beans. I put in, I had some rice and chicken, extra chicken in there, some cheese. It was pretty solid, man.
Nice.
So
Well,
you can always tailor, but that's not the only a place we love food wise, and we got to thank our other sponsor, Macaulay Capital, and then we're going to welcome in young Will, who's back on the show this week. Is your business growing but not quite ready for a full-time CFO? Macaulay Capital offers fractional CFO services for companies doing more than $3 million in annual revenue. You get expert financial leadership without the full cost. Learn more about how you can improve your business's profitability and cash management at MacaulayCapital.com. If you know Boulder, you know the Hungry Toad. We've been serving this town since 1991, long before the lines on Pearl Street. Just north of campus, we're your local British pub with proper fish and chips, quality burgers, a scratch kitchen, real English cask ale, and no tourist fluff. We support CU football, women's soccer, and the loyal fans who keep it local. The Hungry Toad, Boulder-born, Buffs proud. There he is.
What's going on?
We probably should have led with you and talked about Jimmy Horn's catch, because that was a nice moment today.
You know what? Well, first of all, to touch on your point, living in this current climate, whether it be football or anything else, living in a world where I don't understand what anyone's saying and they don't understand what I'm saying sounds like a dream. Just to touch on that real quick, that sounds like a fantasy world for me. To go on to Jimmy Horn, yes, I am disappointed about the Buffs' performance last night. We can get into that. But our Buffs in the NFL are making me very proud right now. Jimmy Horn had 2 touches on the ground, 2 touches through the air. One was a critical third down. And that speed that we saw with him in the Big 12, where he just looked a step faster than everybody else. I never questioned if that would translate into the NFL, but damn, it has. He still looks just a hair faster than everybody. And once he gets around that edge, he's just as dangerous in Carolina as he was in Colorado. And man, speed kills. And he won't get
a touchdown taken away for this.
No, he won't. He won't. But he's thinking it, because there was a couple times today where he could have held that peace sign up as he flew past that linebacker or something. There was moments that called for it. He didn't do it. I think in the NFL ranks, he's learned his lesson. He's getting his first round of plays this week, so he's as buttoned up as he can be.
Yeah, I'm not still bitter about it though. So I'm all good. I'm good.
Oh, I am. Speak for yourself, William. I'm still bitter about that. I wanted that touchdown for Jimmy that night. I was in Alabama watching that game, so that was a touchdown that I still am bummed about. But anyway, he's doing well. Nate Landman, per usual, Thursday night game. I don't know if you guys tuned into that. It was one of the best games I've seen all year. It was a divisional NFC West game. 49ers, Rams. It went into overtime. It was incredible. And per usual, Mr. Reliable, the 2025 Dick Butkus Award all the way needs to go to Landman, because he is all over the field and as about as underrated of a coverage linebacker as I've seen for a long time. And we saw it at Boulder, but man, he's every week it seems like he just grows more and more and more into one of the best linebackers in football. It's a cool thing to see.
Yeah, if you cut Nate Landman out, a bunch of mini footballs would just come pouring out, because
absolutely
it's crazy. And he dealt with so much health stuff at CU, and I was kind of worried for him going into the NFL, just because he's a bright young man and he's got a great family, and it's like, I don't want you to like be on crutches and hobbling around later in life, but he just has found a way to really kind of pull it back together physically. And you mentioned that he's underrated in pass coverage. That was an area that wasn't his strong suit at Colorado. So credit to him for making that something that he's good at. I wish I could have tuned in on Thursday, because I need more Nate Landman in my life right now.
Oh man, we all do. No, it was wonderful, and it's rare. I remember Coach Prime had a quote where he said, you need to be just about developed in the NFL. They're not going to really care to develop you more because you have more guys coming in each year. It's very rare where you see a guy come into the NFL with a set of skill sets and then be able to develop more and more and more. You're right. At Colorado, being a coverage backer was not his prominent skill set. And man, in these last few years, even in Atlanta, he took steps forward. And man, he's one of the best cover linebackers in football. And for a team who really schemes up like 49ers, and they have a great coach, Shanahan, McVay and Shanahan going back and forth, but a lot of times they'll spin you around into confusion. And Landman, it felt like he knew every play that was coming the entirety of the game. And it's really special to watch a guy like that.
That makes me think of the other guy that from CU that came into the league and then really turned into something even more than was ever expected was David Bakhtiari.
Oh man, yeah.
Nobody ever thought he was going to be. Everybody thought Nate Soldier was going to be that guy.
Absolutely.
Right? But nobody thought David Bakhtiari was going to be that guy, and it was his work ethic that did it.
It was, and he developed. He was one of those guys too, who developed, and he had Rodgers on those great Green Bay teams. But he was their guy over there.
Right, and he learned run blocking in the NFL. I mean, he was already ahead of the game in pass protection, but he learned run blocking, and those guys are great.
I know. A couple. It's been good. It's been fun. We got Travis Hunter on Monday night, which will be fun to have kind of a prime time Monday night game. That's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast.
Just circling back to Jimmy Horn real quick. I mean, what a genuine human being. I mean, it's impossible not to root for that kid. And as much as we were frustrated with the horizontal stuff early this season, it's like if Jimmy Horn Jr. is over there, heck yeah, because that burst is pretty special when he was healthy, and he dealt with some health stuff too during his time at CU. And had he stayed healthy through those 2 years, I think he would have really, I don't know, he probably would have broken some records in some games.
No question. I mean, when you have that onslaught of receivers, arguably one of the best, since the 90s, late 80s, 90s that Colorado had, that receiver core that we had the last few years, it's easy to get lost in the shuffle, and people forget just how impactful he was on those games. But you're right, Adam, like you touched on, he is a fan favorite. You just look on his Instagram and there's people from all across the country, all different fan bases who know him and recognize him from his days at Colorado, who are commenting, hey, go J5, let's go Jimmy Horn, because he's such a humble guy. From everything that the coaches say and his players say, he just shows up to the facility. He's soft-spoken. He doesn't say a lot. He doesn't have a lot of vibrato, but he just goes in, does his job, and he's got this just gifted ability to just zoom. And as a receiver coach and an offensive coordinator, speed kills in college and in the NFL. And, man, that you can already tell with today's performance, they're going to utilize that a lot more. So good to see Jimmy out there doing well. Proud of him.
I think I cut you off there, William. Sorry, buddy. What were we going to say?
I can't remember what I was going to say, so I guess we'll have to move along.
Okay. Well,
I know what it was. I remember you were talking with Sean about putting on a disguise and sneaking back into a game, and I was like, well, maybe Jimmy or Travis could put on a disguise and sneak into a CU game wearing somebody else's jersey.
You remember those old Deion Sanders commercials where he had the afros and Dr. Pepper or something, where he went by a different alias and he went back into the league? If we can find, I'm out here in Hollywood. I know some film, makeup, prosthetics people. If we need to get Travis or Jimmy out here, just say the word. I can make some calls. We can try and make that happen.
Yeah, it's not like this Colorado team is that far off, and that's the part of it that is so frustrating, right? Will, let's get your just general thoughts on what happened out there in Fort Worth last night.
Yeah, I think the thing that was frustrating to me and has been frustrating this whole season is it feels like when one thing goes wrong, we make that correction the following week. But then once we make that correction, something else is a gaping hole that loses us the game. I think we have yet to play a complete game all year. And if you recall back to the UCF game last year. That was the moment in my mind where all tiers of our team really came together. Our run stop, our secondary, our running game, and our passing game, everything kind of got together. I believe that was week 5 or week 6 last year. It's frustrating that we have yet to put together a full game. And I think when we talk about quarterback play too, there's about 4 situations in a game where you need the quarterback, and William, you touched on this earlier. You need your quarterback to be kind of the alpha, and you need to step up and be him. It's that initial drive. It's that if you're returning that initial drive where your offense sees the ball, it's right before halftime. It's coming back from halftime, and then it's that about 2-minute drill in the fourth quarter, especially if you're down. You recalled the last year, there were so many moments where Shedeur said, I don't really care what Pat Shermer or the coaches are saying. Hop on my cape, and I'm going to take us there. I'm going to lead us there. Yeah. And it didn't matter in those moments what the coaches or the fans or critics were saying. He was able to do that and lead by example just as a pure alpha. It's frustrating because Caden has these glimpses where he travels the offense down. We look efficient. He's making good throws, good reads, good runs on the ground. And then all of a sudden the next series comes around and he looks completely confused out there. It's been frustrating to watch that. And so that's why I'm in this kind of 50-50 of, well, do we put Juju back in there, or do we have Caden, stay in there for a few of these drives and have our Ryan Staub kind of 2-minute specialist be able to stretch the field? It's been frustrating for sure. And it was another frustrating night last night, but I think, it comes down, a lot of times we overcomplicate it. I think it can sometimes be simplified. You turn the ball over 4 times. You're not going to win a lot of ball games in a Power 4 football.
Yeah. And if you can only score 21 points, you're not going to win in this conference either. That's just not going to happen very often, because this, I don't care how good the defense is. If you're only putting 21 points on the board, you're putting your defense out there too much, and you're not giving them the support. But, it almost strikes me sometimes that when we start out, we have a tempo and we have an urgency, right? And Salter seems to do really well with that.
Yeah.
But then we lose that tempo and that urgency, and maybe he's got too much time to think about it. I don't know. Never played quarterback. I don't know what the answer is, because he just seems to go into his brain on some of those plays, and I don't know. I keep going back to every game this year we've had a guy average over 6 yards a carry on the ground,
and we abandon it.
We don't utilize it. I don't know. I just don't know. I think you were talking a little bit about Shedeur last year, but part of the thing with Shedeur was also that he and his receivers had a huge level of trust.
Yes.
And chemistry with each other. And I don't see that with Salter and his receivers.
It's a great point. That's a great point. And, like even the play last night where Sincere Brown, even the play callers, they touched on it too. As a receiver, it's pretty basic level learning of you have to get at least 4 to 5 yards on that sideline if your quarterback's going to throw a back shoulder or a comeback, to give him that space so you can make that catch. Yeah. That might be a level of trust or distrust in this case of Sincere Brown not knowing if Caden Salter can make that throw.
We talked
go ahead.
A little bit earlier is that maybe that's a failure in coaching this year. I don't know, but I go back to that Adam's favorite play from last year with Shedeur and that last minute Hail Mary against Baylor, right? I think, and both of those guys had to trust each other to make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's just that unbelievable play, because Shedeur's going to put it in that spot, and then blanking on his name, one of our NFL wide receivers.
Wester.
Yeah, LeJohn. Yeah.
He's got to trust that it's going to be there. Get there, make the catch.
Yeah.
So does that speak more onto and as someone who has played the receiver position, there's a lot to be said about if your quarterback's not going to throw it there in the right spot, that level of trust is very small.
Right.
You almost overcompensate and you turn out to not be in the spot that you need to be because you know in your gutturally that he doesn't have the capabilities of getting it there. Shedeur, I think, had whole trust with his receiving core of, I can get the ball there, just get to the spot, trust me. And they had that full trust. That might be an indictment on Caden Salter. I don't know if the receiving core knows truly that he can get the ball to the right spot enough where all they have to do is focus on their route and getting to the point of emphasis there. So,
and there's a certain amount of savvy that's lacking with Caden Salter too, in terms of baiting defenses into things.
Right.
And that's something that Shedeur was pretty good at. And we saw it with Hoover last night. We saw it with Wegman in the Houston game, of being able to kind of exploit weaknesses within the defense. It seems like it has to be kind of like almost like straightforward, obvious in front of Caden Salter to actually, and even the second pick, it was like actually was obvious. Amari Miller was open for a good, I don't know, 3 seconds. Yeah, a
lot of space.
And then I'm beginning to wonder if Salter still doesn't quite understand that the added level of quickness and speed and athleticism at this level versus where he was before. Because that first pick, that guy made a great play, and then the second pick, he also just the quickness of getting in there and making that play. But you got to look those guys off and give them something.
Yeah. No, there seems to be just he's just a half step off on when he decides to make and that was the big critique of him, of you need to be more decisive. And then when he came back, even with that BYU game, it looked like he was extremely decisive from the first quarter on. And then again, frustrating as it comes, we go up 2 scores and then it repeats itself. But that was the big critique on him. He's not decisive enough. It still feels like there's a hint of that. He doesn't want to fully commit to whatever throw he's trying to make, or whether it's going on the ground. And that split second is going to lead to a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, and this particular team, and I think this goes to the coaching, they don't seem to understand situational football. Like you talk about with that fade route down the sideline, you got to give some distance for that back shoulder throw, and then when there's this amount of time left and there's this amount, you got to know when to call a timeout, try to get to the first down line, and all the little things that you have to know as a player to really understand the game. And there just seems to be something missing. And especially on defense, there's not that one guy either that we had a couple of them, I think, last year, 2 or 3 of them who could just make a play, get that turnover. We had I think maybe the guy we keep talking about, Green, the linebacker, but it might be the defensive end who's in the NFL now, from Arizona State.
BJ Green.
BJ Green, who maybe he was the difference in why we were getting those sacks last year. We're not getting them this year.
Yeah. Well, and I wanted to ask you this. I wanted to ask both you guys this. I was obviously tuning in earlier, and it feels like we're a few weeks behind just off of the offense that Shermer is calling and how that relates to Caden Salter. And I just wanted to ask you guys, and Adam, obviously you being more in tune with the program and understanding this, could we chalk any of that up to our head coach? I don't know how much freedom of will Coach Primes gives these guys in the offseason to say, I'm going to move forward with this guy and create an offense solely around his skill set? Or do you think they had to wait for Coach Prime to kind of return before they installed some of these things? Can we chalk any of that up to just, we look like a team that's a few weeks behind because our coach was vacant for however months in the offseason? Not to give it as an excuse, but I'm just curious.
I'd say no. Camp is such a long process, and that's really when you get into that team bonding, and you see them go to the public swimming pool, and you kind of develop that. And Coach Prime was on campus during spring ball too. So it really, the time period that he missed, that is strength and conditioning staff time. And we saw guys reshape their bodies. I know there's a lot of fans out there having issues with the injury numbers, and it hasn't looked good. That's a tough thing to really pin from a small sample size on the strength and conditioning staff because you guys both play football. I mean, things happen, and sometimes they snowball at one position and it looks really bad. I don't think you can do that with one off season with one strength coach. In terms of it's not all on Pat Shurmur though, too, because I don't think that Caden Salter really attacked this whole process the way he needed to as a fifth-year senior.
Yeah.
And so the blame pie kind of gets allocated out there. It's like they say, the truth lies somewhere in the middle. There's two sides of every story. The truth. I think it's kind of that situation with this quarterback thing. I think there are things that Pat Shurmur could have done much better to tailor an offense that would have utilized Caden Salter's strength, especially when you had a lot of tape based on what works for him at Liberty. And some of the things they've done early with the script the last 2 weeks have allowed Caden Salter to get comfortable in that.
Yeah.
And but then at the same time, if your quarterback is making boneheaded plays out there when there are plays to be had, that's an issue too. So it's both things. And I know people want to kind of have one lightning rod, but it's more complicated than that.
Definitely.
Well, and I think, either way, if we had more competent quarterback player, if we had more competent play calling and play design from our offensive coordinator, either one, I think, would have led to a couple more wins so far. But to have both of them not going well, and to your point, Adam, you look at the level of work that Shedeur Sanders put in every day, every practice. And people don't see that, and they don't know that, and they don't understand it. And I don't think Caden Salter put that in. I could be wrong. I'm not up there every day, but you just see the level of, it's like an artist, man. It's like Shedeur Sanders is like a great violinist, I guess. I mean, all those little practice times, and when it's time to play the real thing, he's there.
Yeah.
Your dedication. Yeah, I think you're onto something with that, Adam.
Yeah.
It's frustrating though, because and to kind of just go down a history lesson, it's like somebody on our message board put out the meme of Charlie Brown getting the football pulled back when he's about to try to kick off the ball. It's like every time there's like some hope around here. I mean, you just go back. It's like there's been so many moments where it's like, okay, finally turning the corner here as a program.
Yeah.
And then, but Deion Sanders did lead this program to 9 wins last year.
Absolutely.
So,
and
that can't be forgotten.
Yeah. I think he's got to make some hard decisions on his staff this year, and he cut loose a friend this year at the running back position, and I think that's worked out fairly well. You're going to have to do it at the linebacker spot, man, because those guys are not well coached. They don't take the right steps. They don't lead with the right shoulder. They don't attack the right part of a gap. And Shurmur, at some point he's just got to get a more college professional staff. Whatever Shurmur's background is, I think the NFL is different enough in terms of offense that we really need a guy whose background is college football.
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah.
The other thing too to throw in there is that not to compare this staff to John Embry's staff. John Embry's staff never got this team anywhere near 9 wins, but
nope.
I think 3-9.
Yeah.
First year. I mean, the program was a mess following Dan Hawkins. That's a whole other thing. I don't think any coach coming in would have had success, obviously, at that time. But there was a problem with that staff being so professional background in terms of they just assume players know certain things.
Right.
And they don't.
Right.
And so that's, you got to have the right balance on your staff between number of, NFL seasons versus guys that know the college game. And I think the thing that kind of made Coach Prime, I'm just presuming this, is that he's kind of gone in this other direction because the Sean Lewis experiment didn't work out early on. And Sean Lewis runs about as college and offense as you can.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of shift that mentality, but you don't necessarily have to like go full up tempo
to have some college coaches on the staff that are a little bit more into the teaching element of it.
Yeah, well, I think that the running backs and the defensive line and the offensive line, who have got the combination of NFL and college guys, are the three most fundamentally sound positions on the damn team, man. As far as I'm watching out there, all the rest of the team, all the rest of the positions are just not fundamentally sound. I mean, you know, I again that pass rush play by Amari McNeil last night that was so beautiful. I watched it 6 times because that move was so sweet, and he's going to use that in the NFL, you know. And then I watched the footwork on our offensive line, and it's just beautiful this year, man. It's just beautiful. And the hands are in the right place, and so those 3 guys, however they're doing it, they're doing a hell of a good job with those guys, you know.
Our offensive line, you're right.
Yeah, you know, and so if we can get that at some of those other positions, you know, I think he's going to have to make some moves along those lines.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good to see Dallin Hayden get going a little bit last night.
Yes.
That's a guy that we were waiting to see in a Colorado uniform.
Yeah.
He's had kind of a rough go at it to start.
And some of those runs look like what we expected, you know, from that level of a guy, you know.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, like I keep saying, nobody stopped us on the stretch zone or the inside zone all year long, man. We just did that play, and our guards are just mauling people.
They are. You guys said it earlier. Could you have imagined this, the offensive line, the current offensive line? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
My goodness.
It's too bad. It's too bad they're all but one of them are a 1-year guy.
Yeah, I know. As is college football in 2025. You're not going to get guys for very long. But whoever we do decide to put out there, you know they're going to have a hell of a lot of time back there, because there was moments where Caden just was chilling back there.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, he had all day long. It was nice.
Hey, Adam, you going to put Will on the spot with your quarterback question?
I am, and this is a good segue because Clay Farmer sent us a chat here. The mistakes K Salt is making with this being his last year, we can live with Juju making. At least he's getting experience and might give us a spark. I'm not trying to sway your opinion here at all, but that just happened to pop up on the screen, and that's a good segue. Where are your thoughts about the quarterback position in Boulder?
You know what? You guys might not like this, and my family's probably going to disown me me for this as well, because they're all in on the Juju boat. We're not getting blown out. If we were getting blown out 42-21 or 38-20, stuff like that, I would say put this kid in. It's halfway through the season. If we're not going to use him, we're going to lose him. Someone's going to snag him, and I doubt he wants to be redshirted. We're not out of ball games. Houston was the only ball game that we were legitimately overpowered and outplayed.
And he didn't start that game.
Yeah, exactly. And so, So I'm sticking with Caden Salter right now. I'm hoping that he can have some sort of growth with those the 2-minute offenses and have some sort of improvement in decisiveness. This loss feel like it woke the team up to get such a lead early on, 2-touchdown lead early on, and then lose that. I think the team, you could see in that Tawfiq Byard presser, they're pissed. I think if there was any time for our quarterback to be an alpha and step up, it's next week at home versus Iowa State. I'm sticking with Caden Salter. We'll see what he can do. Unpopular opinion.
Did we wind up 2-2 on that then?
Do we? You said?
I think so. Yeah, we're split. I think Sean is just frustrated with the criticism he's getting over backing up Caden Salter in some of his film reviews. So we'll get clarification on that from him.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta go cry after Sean, called me out and told me I was wrong.
Well, to some you said there, Will, about Tawfiq Byard. So post game at TCU is, if you watch post game, it was probably hard to hear, right? Because there's a lot of commotion. There's they're giving food to the visiting team, and there's this whole eating area. There's a workroom right there. And the
Really?
locker room is right there.
Yeah, the audio was very hard of hearing.
The accountability that was taking place, you would have liked to hear it in week one, and maybe it was happening, but because I didn't, at the home games I don't have as close a proximity to the locker room, but
Yeah.
there was leaders trying to step up, and we'll see what that manifests into. But William, you mentioned the offensive line was pretty upset. Byard, of course. I mean, there were a lot of people trying to keep this thing together, and so 2-4 is hard to come back from. But it was hard to hear that stuff because you just
somebody asked on the board, is there a quarterback coach, and is there one?
Pat Shermer, technically.
Really? So we don't have a designated quarterback coach though,
because he's an offensive line guy. He's by career, he's an offensive line coach.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know, but you're right. It was a little bit, the audio was shaky, but you can tell a lot with body language too, and you can tell a lot with what they're saying, and they speak a lot with body language. Ultimately, Tawfiq Byard and all the guys on the defense can say we're pissed and we're ready to go. We know who needs to have that moment. It's very simple. The quarterback needs to be the one who's leading that charge. That's just the way football is, and it's Caden's time to do this right now.
And we need to find that guy on defense too, frankly, because we had three of them last year. We had Nakai Hill-Green, we had Travis obviously, and then we had our safety. I can't remember his name ever.
Silman Craig.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we need to find that guy on defense.
Yeah, we do. Now, Clay, you're making great points, and I agree. I'm trying to be about as optimistic as I can, because there was a couple times where he's saying the Salter mistakes that he made, and you could see those receivers just kind of shrug like, "What are we doing out here, man?" You can tell a lot by that. Once again, if we were getting blown out by 20, 25 points, it'd be a different story. But we're in these ball games and we're attacking first. And we're on the board first. It's about keeping leads now, not about being, you know what I mean? So we got to
you look at this game, and I'm getting a signal from off camera, but if you look at this game and we get that touchdown at the end of the first half, it's a different game. We don't have that punt hit our guys back, and it's a different game.
Yep.
2 plays, man, and we win this game.
Yep. And you can say that about the BYU loss as well. You could say, you know what I mean? There's you can draw that same critique back to a couple losses. So we're not that far off. And I think nothing would rejuvenate this program than a home win versus Iowa State next week. And that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, they're still ranked. They fell from 14th to 22nd in the AP poll. So we'll see how that goes. It's been a long 48 hours. I'm working off like 3 hours of sleep. So I'm going to get this loaded. I'm going to get some food for the family, and I am going to chill out for a second. But it's always good to talk it out. And young Will and William, appreciate you guys for joining me. Of course, Sean Niehoff as well. Always great stuff.
And Will, I said to Sean and Adam, we got to get you up with the 3 old guys.
Absolutely.
Buy you a beer and a burger, man.
Absolutely. Count me in. I would love to do that. Let's try and make that happen in October. I am in for sure.
Maybe they'll bye week or something.
Yeah. On a bye week. Let's do it.
Sounds good, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. It'd be nice to talk about a win. Hopefully we can do that a week from now. Thanks, everybody. In case you haven't heard, CU Athletics is teaming up with Taco Bell this season, launching the first ever $7 Buffs box, which is available at participating Colorado Taco Bell locations. What's in the Buffs box? A lot of great stuff. You get 4 Taco Bell classics, a cheesy gordita crunch, a beefy 5-layer burrito, a Doritos Locos Tacos, cinnamon twists, and the meal comes with a signature Buffs collectible cup featuring either Julian Juju Lewis, Jordan Seaton, Draylon Miller,
or Quentin Gibson. And this isn't just about the food. Every single CU touchdown this year means more than points. Taco Bell will donate $1,000 for every Buffs touchdown to the Golden Buffalo Scholarship Fund. Nothing better than crushing a Buffs box while watching the Buffs light up the scoreboard. Live Moss.